the name? You have to say that because I always get it
Goblins
wrong.
and Grottos.
Goblins and Grottos.
Yeah.
And at the end, Keith Killilea from Starcave Entertainment, who has this big bad boy waiting to come out very, very soon.
3 months.
He was also making a game called Terror.
Oh, and I'm Manus, by the way, and I'm with Howling Hamster Games, and we're working on Subspecies at the moment. So, yeah, we said we'd do this, basically get students in that wanted to ask questions of game developers who are here. So we don't really know how this is going to work because it's our first shot at it. We're hoping to do 3 or 4 of these. This one's going to be, we're hoping it'll be kind of geared towards coding or general design or any questions you have, really, we'll try and answer. We're going to run another one then. If this works well and you enjoy it, we're going to run another one maybe in 6-8 weeks' time where we get a panel of 3D modelers, artists, that kind of stuff to deal with that area of game development, you know. So that's the plan. And I'm going to stop talking now and let somebody else say something. Any questions first? Please ask a question because we're stuck. We don't know.
It's going to be the quickest thing ever.
Yeah. All right, we're done. We didn't need a cameraman.
How did all of you get started in game development? Because I imagine it's a bit different considering your different backgrounds.
Excellent question.
Yes.
We'll start in the end and we work our way up. How did you get started?
I got started on the Commodore 64 in 1994, that high. So start with basic assembly language. Wanted to make games instead of play games. I'm a gamer, all right, but I really wanted to create that. That was my first real experience of games. So I made several different Commodore 64 games. Programming are small little things, which is always recommended if you're trying to make your own game or learning to make your own game. Start something small and then go for something big. So I made 10 to 11 different games that got published in Europe. Then got hired by American game studios. Also worked on the 3D games engine, Oxygen 3D in the Netherlands. Did my own gaming thing, gaming company. That went pretty alright. We got 1 or 2 published games.
Okay, Sam.
Yeah.
How did you get started?
I got started in the early 80s, would you believe? On the BBC Micro and Apple II. That's what everybody did at the time. You basically had a computer and nothing to run on it. And like, there was no way of getting games. There was a few games, but they were actually not very good and very expensive. And obviously, as a 12-year-old, I wanted to have games, so I made them. And I've just really done it ever since. So I did a lot of BBC stuff in the 80s and some Amiga games in the 90s. Took a bit of a break from making games for a while, and I kind of picked it up in about 2003 with the Torque game engine. Published a game in Torque kind of the late 2000s. Did some ill-advised stuff on Android and iPhone. I left the smartphone stuff behind because it's getting harder and harder and nastier. So the last 3 years or so I've been kind of looking at kind of proper PC Steam games again. One of which is Goblins and Grottos, and it's actually made with pure web technologies, so HTML5, WebGL, and it's really nice working that stuff.
Cool. Where did I start in games? I played a lot of games. I didn't get started developing games until much later. I played games as a teenager. There used to be a computer shop just across from the Augustine church. It was called the Computer Shop, and we used to just live in there. It did actually sell computers. Yeah. I remember the big thing was like we were literally. I arrived in there at 9 o'clock in the morning. We knew the guy who ran the place. Me and another. The 3 of us were sitting there at 9 o'clock waiting for the delivery guy to deliver the Spectrum 128K. This was like red letter day. We were going wild. So after that, I got into computer programming. Worked in a grey room for a long time writing script for, I don't even know what it was for in the end. And so rather than throw myself out the window, I left and started getting to gaming. And that's what, 4 or 5 years ago. And we're having great fun now. And we're working on that guy, Subspecies. So hopefully by next year we'll actually have a game finished. That I'll have to clear that with Trevor over there. Though. Every time I say that, he just keeps shaking his head. Oh, dream on.
So I got started when I was sort of relatively young, but past the age of BBC microcomputers. I used to get in trouble frequently for using the graph paper and the maths jotter of my school book to plan out SimCity. over and over, and like work out layouts and sort of the most efficient city I could build, and then get home and put it into practice and watch the whole thing catch fire. From there, I went on to writing sort of like stories and stuff. Luckily, by the time I was sort of picking courses for uni and that, there were games courses available for me, and I went off and did one of them. I did some studio work, that sort of thing. I'm also the Cratty Kid. Did some sort of like bigger studio stuff. Wasn't overly great at it. I suppose would be the best way to phrase that. Decided to go sort of independent and moved to Ireland for the tropical climate. to answer that question.
Good move.
Yeah, that was a success.
Working on my suntan.
Let's see. I have been making board games since I was very little, and I guess my start, again, much later on than a bunch of these guys here. I actually started with Game Maker, probably like Game Maker 5 or 6, long before they were acquired by Yo-Yo. And then, so basically, once I realized I could make games on the computer, my mind, then I was off. At university, I studied in games, and I got a master's degree in games and playable media, after which I was hired by John and Brenda, and then they moved to Ireland for the tropical weather. And here I am.
Okay, that's good.
It's like Venice Beach, but...
Were you initially going to, when they moved, were you going to work remotely at that stage?
No, so they actually had been talking about moving a long time before it actually happened,
cool,
and I'm sort of like at this like really kind of fortunate point in my life where it's actually really easy to say, you want to move to Ireland? Sure.
Okay, it was that simple.
It was basically that simple, yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Well, that's the...
How is the game development in Ireland at the moment? Like, are there many, or are there a lot of small ones?
Increasing. There's a lot happening in the last 2 or 3 years. It's just
Becoming way more
The
active,
last 2 or 3 years in particular have been really astonishing to watch. Certainly, like I've been in Galway 5.5, 6 years now, and the last 3 years have been phenomenal. Like seeing a community grow as quickly and as big as the Galway community's got over the last couple of years has been fantastic, and that is the sum of work from everybody sitting here, organising meetups, hosting game jams, and supporting the little studios that are sort of popping up in between as well. It's been pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it is a great. Like the Galway community seems to have really taken off. Like once a month we meet up, and you could have like sometimes 8 people will turn up in the pub and share ideas or get drunk or whatever they do. All right, okay. Let's be fair. We go to get drunk.
Normally the other way around.
We go to get drunk, okay, and we succeed. But sometimes you'll only have 8 or 9 people turn up. But most of the times you can have 20, 25, 30 people wander in from. And there's always different people coming in, and it's really a surprise every month. It's like, and then people who find it online and then come along to the meeting are equally as stunned that this is, that there's so many people in there, that it's a thing. That 30 people can be part of a small, that this small town has this massive city. No, what are we? Small town has such a vibrant games community. Keith does a lot of work in that as well, because your website, what's it called again?
It's Galway Games.
Galway Games, yeah.
So the current gaming community was formed between Sam and myself from university and a Facebook group, and we merged together back in 2012, I think.
Yeah.
And it's kind of taken flight. We let the community run the community. And before that, Games in Ireland has been kind of the curve up and down. It's like a few failed kickstarts happened along the way. There was the 8-bit, there was a few game companies doing the 8-bit, the Commodore 64 and kind of a little bit of Amiga, but not too much. Then there was a little bit of console games dev that happened around the early noughties. And then a lot of mobile games before the iPhone, before the Android system. So there was this sort of up and down, but in the last few years, just throughout Ireland, and Galway's done very well, but it's like this is now, there's a permanent activity happening. It's like It took a while, and now there's a really active community that looks like it's going to be here for a very long time, from Dublin to Galway, and now popping up all around the country. And I guess you can see, like in GDC, the Cry engine has now become free. You know, these gaming engines have allowed this to happen, not just worldwide, but you can see it's happening here in Ireland now. That's my 2 cents in that.
Okay.
What's the hardest thing about transitioning into becoming a game dev? Like from someone that has like the typical everyday job. Like is it
Money.
I was just going to say,
having no money.
For me, it was accepting poverty as a state of life. You know, just as a permanent state of being. That's the biggest thing. Well, we found when we kind of decided to get into it in our studio, we were lucky. We've got some support that kind of keeps food on the table for us while we're doing it. But we decided that if we're going to do it, we have to do it full time, and that's really, I think, what it's about. I mean, there's an awful lot of people. Sorry, and I'm not knocking people who like to make games as a hobby, because it's brilliant fun. But if you're going to try and do it, you really have to be willing to commit to it, because it's about putting the hours in.
That's if you're making your own games, of course. You know, there's big companies you can go work for, and that's all good, and yeah, the money can be good, but you're kind of, I guess that's why what's happened in the changes is a lot of these professionals that worked in big companies from EA and whatnot little teams have broken away and formed their own indie teams because they want this creative freedom to do innovative type gaming titles. Because doing blockbuster games is all cool, but it is like a big, it's a big production. It's like a big major Hollywood movie as a big game, Call of Duty or that sort of thing. But
yeah. Anyone else want to weigh in on this one? No.
Yeah, like you said, just put in hours. You know, when you come home from work, if you want to get into games, you got to make games. Is really the answer to that question.
Yeah. Loads of people come up with really great game ideas. Yeah. And 3 months down the line, if you ask them if they did anything with it, they've still got. They might have another good idea that they have with it. I've got even better ideas now. And like 3 months later, there still isn't a line of code or a sprite drawn or anything, you know. But you have to just do it if you're going to do it, you know.
I suppose, to add to that, I suppose we live in an age where the information to do that is freely available to you. Like, you know, you can get that information and learn how to make games in a multitude of ways. So, yeah.
Like do a course in Pulse College.
You could do a course in Pulse College. Yeah, that was a better plug than I could ever hoped for, Manus.
And it seems so natural.
Yeah. How much was it? Anyway. So I hope that answered that question.
Can I ask, just in terms of like maybe other cities that you've been in, I don't know if you guys have a long history of traveling or like working in other cities or whatever, but I have a lot of difficulty kind of framing the Galway community in comparison with other communities in other cities and abroad. And I just want to ask you guys, what do you see the Galway community could do to make itself stronger, to make itself louder, better known in the future, in the coming years, the next 5-10 years?
That's a
very good question.
Things like this, hopefully, will help.
Yeah.
This is part of it. This is going to be hopefully a series of Galway game dev things. We're going to Daniel. Hi, Daniel. Recording it there. We're going to put it on YouTube. That kind of thing. Get us in. Recently talking to somebody about doing an expo here, trying to get a proper games convention, but run it in Galway. So there's a lot of things going on. There was also a talk with
it's like
there's lots of things we shouldn't say here.
Trying to work out something, so it's a bit early. But long-term wise, what would be good for Galway is if we also have a Galway Games Hub. It's a bit like Portershed, if you've heard about the tech scene in Galway's come together and formed basically. Here is the tech scene in Galway, in Portershed, and it's shared offices, hot desking, good facilities, that sort of thing. So games development is different than tech development because it's art and science and all that. And to support the scene further in Galway to grow is to support and help the companies that are here and can become stronger, and the next teams that are coming through out of Pulse College or GTI or that do form teams, where do you go? You know, you can come here to Workbench, great place, or you know, there's a hub to where there can be pooling of sharing of skills and experience and that. And so long term, that would be good. And there's a little bit of that in Dublin with Digit and a few game companies together. So for Galway, I think that would definitely be a right move forward.
We're going to keep an eye on people about it anyway.
Well, it's all about moving forward, and that's the goal with Galway. I think by doing stuff like this, you know, it can only be a good thing.
Just to tie back to another point you raised, and how does Galway compare to other development communities? Like I've lived in London and stuff before, and one of the things I love about the Galway community is how open it is. You know, like you can wander down to the meetups in the pub and chat to people about ideas or problems that you're having, and you know, not have to worry that you know the next day your game's going to be cloned and for sale somewhere else. So that's nice. Certainly, one of the things I love about being a dev in Galway is the community in Galway. I think we're hitting the nail on the head as far as being a community is concerned. But like the guy said, the next big step is to ramp the community up a bit.
Yeah. To make everyone else know that the community exists. We have to sell Galway as like the indie game dev of Ireland, really. You know, that's what we'd hope.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, no offence to the Dublin game devs if any of you are looking at this. But that's the hope, because it's so vibrant around the town. There's so many coming out of college. I assume most of you are going to get into, or at least try and get into game dev after you're finished. You know?
I hate games.
I'm not surprised after spending time with you to turn anyone off games.
What do you want to make games for? Games are terrible.
You know, kind of the way I see it really ties into what they were talking about the community. Like the more people who make games, the more people who are going to want to make games here. So it's in many ways it's kind of like just a self-sustaining cycle. And when you have the community, that helps bring people together to want to make games, and then that advertises their games, advertises that community to the world at large.
Do you think that would draw in bigger companies into Galway then, if like more and more devs do come out of college and end up in Galway?
Absolutely.
Draw the bigger companies
Like
down?
if you're looking at PC console game developers, why are they not here? They're here. They're not here because they can't see the skill set. There's no spotlight. There is a bit of on Galway, but they don't know how many programmers there really is that can do C++ or C# or that. And you know, where's all the 3D modelers, or where's all this? I've seen this for so long, and I've been over to GDC, E3s and all that, and because we don't have a lot of those type of companies, we can't attract those. Now we do have a lot of mobile game devs and some fantastic ones, but on that end, you know, where you'd have a 30, 50 man team coming down, or EA open a full department, or another one that sees what EA does and say, well, right, we need to now go to Ireland and go to Galway. And that's where a community like this and what we're doing and trying to support and get more teams up and running helps that. It all feeds back into a loop, as kind of Ian was saying. So, but I think if we keep doing that, we will attract those big companies. But if we can't show them nothing, you know, they can't see nothing.
It's to be a reason for them to come here, really.
Yeah, I mean, we have to show off the skill set.
I think there's a touch on the point as well of making games. I think, you know, the games need to be released. They need to be developed as full cycle games. I think Ireland has sort of been defined too much by that kind of bedroom developer of, I'm making a game, I'm a game developer. Like, even if you look at Kickstarter, something went up 2 weeks ago, I can't remember it. I think I showed it to you, Chris.
No, you emailed it to me and it was
nonsense joke kind of
just like
that some people do. And I think what was great about Galway in the last while and seeing the development was, we knew sort of there were games sort of bubbling underneath, but all of a sudden over a 6-month period we were saying that it went from, so we knew games were developed to a 6 greenlit and all of a sudden you see Galway just get to the next level.
One of the
things
things
to take it to the next level of that, it's not just like, you know, everyone's looking at yourselves, you're the ones who actually are that, you know, 5 of those games that they're actually heading in the right direction. You know, the whole point is if none of you get them sort of out there, we're back to square zero again.
One of the things
no pressure then.
I have 3 games on Steam already.
Sorry?
I have 3 games on Steam already.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like it is that kind of, and then to get them out there, so you're saying, Keith, that they just need to see that there is a product that these people can actually finish out.
Yeah, completing games that you're absolutely
You know,
right.
because
Yeah, no,
it's
completing is the
Dublin,
hard bit.
but Dublin has an awful lot of just unfulfilled. I just by the looks of it, we've heard about it, just
Like one of the things I'm really proud about in terms of Galway as a community is the level of professionalism that's coming from the games that are being produced as well. Like they're all polished to a very high standard, and they're being put on Steam at an incredibly high standard. And it's not just, you know, a rough Kickstarter with a collection of art assets that have been slapped together in an attempt to get something made. Like they're being made and then being released, which is
the difference in professionalism and
Yeah.
you know.
and finished. Finished. That would be nice.
Yeah, finished.
And
What does that feel like again?
And at some of our meetings, sometimes we can be a bit tough actually on each other, fellow game developers, because we're actually trying to encourage each other to make sure we do finish stuff. Actually, and it's like, you know, sometimes we do critique a little bit.
Nah, we're just all tough on you. We're all sound to each other.
Before
So
you
they're all
walk in,
tough on
keep
me.
it small.
And that's something that, you know, one of the things that is good about those meetups is it's really important to get good critical feedback, accurate critical feedback. Like if something looks bad, you know, we need to be able to honestly tell each other, hey, that doesn't look good, right? And so if you can hold yourselves to a standard, that's where, you know, that's when we're going to start seeing that jump in this professionalism that you're talking about, you know, like the quality, and that's what's important about like having a nice tight knit group, like the meetups we were talking about that happen once a month. You know, opportunities like that for us to like improve our games.
But as you said, it has to be, you know, you have to be open to constructive criticism. You know, which is kind of hard because when you're making a game, you love
have
it.
to be anyway.
Yeah, but
You have to have a really thick skin. That's one thing.
well, you do. That's the problem. Because when you make a game,
from
you
Galway
love it.
people though, from like the world in
Yeah.
general.
Don't ever read YouTube comments. Just on that note.
Or don't have Google Play Store. Do not look at the comments on your game because you are not going to be happy. Okay.
Well, you have to learn that you can't please everyone. If you can please some of them, you're doing good stuff. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a whole army of them out there just waiting. Oh my God, there's something I control.
Yeah. Because I remember the first when we put Subspecies up on Greenlight, the first truly negative comment about it, which was just it was just bad. It took me nearly 2 days to get over it. I mean, I didn't respond to it. Like I read it and I was like, I wanted to kill this person. That's the truth. I was furious when I read it. I couldn't understand it. It made no sense. It was just badness for badness sake, this comment. And it really upset me. And I was really surprised at how much it upset me. I mean, I couldn't believe it. So I had to stay away from I could not go near the computer. I couldn't respond to it for about 48 hours. And then eventually I managed to you know.
It.
Well, actually, what happened was I was like I couldn't get my head around it, and it was actually Trevor who calmed me down. He said, "Manus, everyone is entitled to their opinion. They're just not entitled to be right."
Yeah.
So I just calmed down slowly after that, and was able to actually make a very constructive reply to the gentleman.
Games are so varied. Like you can't make a game that everybody will like.
No,
And some people just like to troll and just
Yeah.
you know.
But when you do put your stuff out there, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I know you think you hope that I've done a really good job. Doesn't matter how good a job is, it's going to happen. Prepare yourself, okay? Because it's not pleasant. Because everyone loves the games they're making. You invest yourself in it, you know, which is probably a mistake. You should try and do that less.
It's a very passionate industry,
No, it
which
has
is
to
really
be.
nice.
No, but you have to treat it.
The game will suffer if you not.
Yes, you have to love your game. I'm not saying that, but you can get to, you know, you have to be able to like look at it as a product as well.
Oh, yeah.
It is, you know,
Yeah.
and you have to be aware that some people don't, you know, you have to be sensible and practical as well. Like, obviously you got to love your game. If you didn't love the games, you wouldn't do it because it's too hard. I mean, making games is hard. It's the hours that's the killer. It's just hard. It's work. So if you don't love it, you're never going to finish a game. It's that simple. The easiest thing to do is quit. Guaranteed. So that's what you'll do if you don't love it.
That being said, then what do you, or each of you, because I know you're all working on something different, what do you consider a finished product? Like, how do you know it's done?
Trevor,
do I need more tea?
when are we done?
How many rocks have you let
Trevor tells me when we're going to be done, so I can't answer that
A
question.
month before the money runs out.
Anyone else? What are you finished? You've got so many games out.
Yeah, most of them have been me primarily, with like occasional collaborators. The one I'm working on now actually is my biggest team ever. There's 4 of us, and we're driving really good quality into it. I'm not sure how. I have these 2 Swedish collaborators, and they're just really excellent. Like really good designers, really good artists, really good gamers, because there's a lot of gamer jokes in the game, and they're driving a lot of the quality, I think.
But where's the end? You could keep on going in one sense, you know.
I know, we have a very strong roadmap. Like we're probably 2 months from finishing.
Are you going to go straight to release? Are you going to release it on early access?
It's on early access.
Oh, it's on early
Yeah,
access
yeah.
now? I hadn't realised that.
Yeah.
Okay, and how's that going for you?
The reviews and feedback are very good.
Okay, very good.
We just need more people to know about it.
Yeah, exposure is huge, yeah.
We've been interviewing some marketing people to kind of bring somebody on that can shout about it a bit.
Yeah.
Which hopefully will help. Because I'm just having a lot of fun, and it is getting great feedback. The people that like it really like it, and there's 23 reviews so far, and they're all thumbs up. So
yeah, it's decent. Yeah,
we just need about
And you're doing
times
a lot
100.
and you're doing a lot of regular updates, which is good
You have
for
to.
early access.
Well, I've learned a lot about community management through my other games. Like I have an MMO actually I wrote, believe it or not.
What do you think is the big difference between an early access release and a full release? Obviously, like there's a lot of updates.
I think they're more accepting of it not being perfect, and it's actually a great way to bring it forward and to test things out and to tweak it and to get rid of bugs and all that stuff, because they seem to be pretty accepting of it, which is great. My only fear is that you'll lose the kind of buzz of, the big YouTubers might just say, oh, that's not a new game, and just ignore it, Whereas a few months before that they said that's only an early access game and ignore it too, So that's a bit of a concern.
The MMO you've got what's the genre for that again?
It's turn-based car combat.
I just love it when you say that. I mean, I'm saying I just love
turn-based car combat. But I've learned a lot about community management from that, and players just love having a developer that immediately responds to things and they can talk to and love you for it. Like that's how you get good reviews, is just be really responsive to them. If they say something's wrong, you reply within an hour and you say, I'm trying to fix it, can I discuss it with you?
So I guess you're saying that even though make a game, you're not actually finished. Your game is finished, but you're actually not finished with it because you have to keep on engaging with your gamers and your players. So
I actually have a community manager who came into that game in the last couple of years, which has been really good for it, because I was increasingly doing less and less, and the players were getting a bit grumpy about it. But he kind of feels he feels a lot of the gripes and a lot of the questions, and he meets me every month and stuff. And I kind of coded in some special powers for him so he can do bits and pieces that I used to have to do.
He's great. Special powers.
Like
awesome.
God knows. Did he? Resurrecting dead characters.
Special powers.
Resurrecting dead characters and stuff. If there's bugs and things, because it's not good if I was just ignoring these.
What's the name of it again?
Darkwind.
Darkwind. Plug.
War on Wheels. Yeah.
On Steam.
And it's on Steam. Yeah.
What was the question again? We kind of seem to meander there. That's a good thing. Yeah, I can't remember what the question was. Anyone else? Any other question?
With this game or with previous ones, have you submitted to? I'm sure you have submitted press releases, or whatever, to some of the media sites. And have you gotten exposure on those? And has it made any kind of difference?
I've been really bad at that stuff, actually.
Yeah.
I was doing Darkwind, I suppose, before the current trendy indie thing was picked up, like that's kind of 2007, 2008, that stuff. I was a bit before that with Darkwind, and I was very naive, and it was just a case, I suppose the game is so niche that eventually the people that want to find out about it will find out about it. And the nice thing about an online game is it just has such a long tail. I mean, the game's going for 10 years now, and it's still earning as much money as it ever did. But no, I've never done good marketing in any sense.
Okay, yeah.
I had one successful game on iPhone and Android, which went viral on its own, but again with no marketing whatsoever. So, yeah, we're trying to get a marketing guy for this game.
If anyone knows the secret of marketing, could you have a chat with us afterwards? Because it seems to be the big mystery, how to get your game out there. I mean, we definitely don't know how to do it. I mean, we were trying to get greenlit, was the first experience getting greenlit with that, and we just sat down and I don't know, we must have sent 1,000 emails. But it's just like cold calling people. These people aren't, you know, how many of them got opened? You know, 10%, and then another 2% of those probably, you know, read it.
The flip side of that was, like, what happened with Darkside was really, really odd in that we put it up on Game Jolt and it got like a huge amount of plays, and the guy featured it on the front page of Game Jolt, and we went to bed, and by the next day we got up and there was articles on like Pocket Gamer and stuff like that. We had no idea. We were totally unprepared for it. Like at the time we thought it was this brilliant blessing, you know, like, oh, there are games everywhere, this is great. And then quickly realised that really, in actuality, all we had was a demo, and it created, you know, months worth more work for us. So like we put the game up on Greenlight on the back of that publicity, and it was greenlit in 5 days. And then we realised that actually, no, wait, we need to be a company to be on Greenlight. So we had to go off, and we spent like a month dealing with lawyers and turning ourselves into an actual company and not just, you know, 4 folk making a game. So like, swings and roundabouts really. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it can be a bit rubbish.
Lucky bastards.
What do you guys think about developing for VR?
I've moved away from 3D actually. The last 2 or 3 years I've moved away from 3D altogether, so which is kind of doing stuff backwards, I think. So not for now anyway.
No, yeah.
Your game would be great in VR.
Hmm?
This game would be great in VR. It's like horror type games do really well, don't they? Scary stuff.
Yeah, VR I think is about 10 years away from being, you know, commercial platform that games are going to be developed. I think VR, I think I could be completely wrong, maybe a head up my ass, that's entirely possible, it happens a lot. But I just don't think that the platform is there. I think it's more like the pet projects that are being made, they're, you know, it's proof of concept, all the stuff that's out there. I don't think they've got it right either. I don't think the headsets that you can play with now are the ones that in 10 years time people will be playing VR games on.
Do you know what, there's this kind of a risk thing there. Do you try and become an early adopter? And if you think it's going to fail and then it doesn't fail, like the guys that wrote the very first games for the iPhone did really well. And it's because they got in early, and that's not something I tend to do. Like I love making games, and I'm not always looking for new technologies, so I tend to be working on old technologies. And could it be the same? Like the reason I haven't grabbed stuff and worked with it probably is that reason, because it doesn't excite me as much as the games.
I'm waiting for a holodeck anyway.
I think there's a lot of formats. There's a lot of different type of headsets. There's no Oculus, but there's no standard just yet. And I think if there was, like, it could go much further on that. I'd be interested in trying to push this guy into it, but it wouldn't be a commercial full decision, because the player base at the moment is very small until that becomes more mass market, to worthy the porting of this.
And we're going to start seeing some interesting things happen with VR, because up until like now, in the next coming months, like VR has entirely been supported by investors and people pushing money into it, and that's why we see all these engines and platforms supporting it, but like the VR hasn't really been made widely available to the public yet, so we're not going to know how it's received until then. It's a lot of speculative investment at the moment, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few months. The games that are going to be successful in VR are the games that are made for VR that you can't play without it being in VR. Those are the games that are that's what's going to then define what VR games are, right? Like, it's easy. I say easy. It's not that easy. It's one thing to make a game that doesn't have VR and have it support VR. It's entirely another thing to make a game that is a VR game. And so I'm really interested to see when that first game shows up.
There's another VR thing that is probably at GDC again this year, as well as last year. And there's this guy, and he's around in a little ring, about 2 foot, and literally he's running and he's moving and he's shooting, and it's like 5 minutes you're out of breath. You know, because you will literally, the more you move, the more you're moving in the virtual thing.
Well,
So
aren't
that's a
gamers
full-on.
known for their peak physical fitness?
Oh man, I don't know how these things do it.
Hobby athletes.
Also, would you be
Oh, I
able to
doubt it.
the sitting room, you know, try and have one of those with the sitting room and the missus looking at you.
I'm getting fit. It's like, I can't do no more. But yeah, you see there's so many of these different type of formats that are going on. It'll be interesting what Facebook does, you know, because they do have a reach to push out to that mass market if they get something right there.
It is an odd one. Like, one of the things I think stands as a big barrier for VR is that it's not something that everyone can access or even play. Like at the moment, there's a huge cost barrier to entry with VR. Like I foolishly clicked through the Vive order form on Steam right up to the, you know, oh, we're going to ship it to you, and then I was justifying it. So I'm not paying 50 quid for shipping. Looking at the $999. So that's a big barrier for as well. But bear in mind, like anyone with eye problems or who has, like, you know, particularly big glasses or anything like that is going to have problems using a VR headset, and that's going to alienate a lot of people from wanting to pick one up. And it's going to alienate a huge amount of developers from wanting to develop for a platform that not everybody can use, because
it's not necessarily commercially viable.
yeah. There's that, and you know, I make point and click games, so I don't imagine there's a huge market on VR.
Well,
Oh yeah!
There is one in Galway, Tribal City Interactive. They are doing VR stuff at the moment, so
Yeah.
there is an active developer.
Bowling
actually.
game is actually pretty tight.
Cool.
It's really nice.
That's pretty cool.
Shall we take a last question before your woman kills us?
Before Annie kills us and throws us any
Wants to spout the
parting
last
thoughts?
question.
Yeah, I'm in Pulse doing the Momentum course.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Kevin here, which
Continue.
is a 1-year thing, and we're meant to, at the end of it, go back to work with a game. Now, it's going to be obviously, in my case anyway, a small game. Would you say that bringing that out, it's better to have it as small and really tight and professional than try and make it bigger and loose? Like, even though it's not a great big game, like make it kind of small, compact.
I absolutely agree.
small and compact.
All my years.
It was
of
either or. You can't
experience
absolutely agree.
I absolutely agree with
One or
everything
the
that you're
other.
saying. Absolutely. It can be one or the other.
I'm done. No, that is the best way. That is, it is, it's always been that way. If you're trying to get a publishing deal before, they didn't care how big of a game you presented in order to, like, you're going for $1 million or more for a console. They wanted to see you with 1 or 2 fully complete parts, then 10, and then imagine if we finished that, how epic that would be. They don't care about that, and there's a reason why that is the case. And just outside of publishers as well, if the game is got a few good features that work really, really well, you've defined your game as the way it is. You've shown gamers, your future fans, people that will reinvest in you and your future games, this is what we can do. You know, it doesn't have to be big and definitely not spread it out, but that's, yeah. What do you think?
I think you need to be, this is going to be your first game, yeah? So you really need, it's going to be like, this is what you're going to be, this is your portfolio you're building. So this is what people, when you say I develop games, the next obvious question is, what game have you developed? And then you tell them. So you want to be able to be proud of it, to show it to people. So size doesn't matter.
Quality.
Okay. So yeah, it is, but it is. The polish is more important.
Oh yeah.
But it is. Quality, if you have a small but really tight, really good looking game, much better than have something that, like, you look at the potential of what it could have been. And I mean,
I'm sure any of my students will tell you that the term vertical slice is used far too often across the board. But yeah, the vertical slice, you know, show what you're capable of producing in like just a short slice of what the whole scope is. Take that piece and polish it till it's, you know, as shiny as can be, and sell that, as opposed to just a big mass of what ifs. It's probably like just echoing everyone else's sentiments, really.
you think?
Yeah. I mean, finishing the game is the hardest part. Starting games is incredibly easy. And so when it is easier to finish a small, simple game than it is a wide, complex, sprawling game. And to that token, it actually can be surprisingly difficult to make a simple game, right? It takes a fair amount of skill to sort of realize, wait, I don't need to add this, I don't need to add this, I shouldn't add this, I shouldn't add that, because it can be really tempting to say, oh, this neat new thing that I thought of, let me go put that in. You know, that's a great way to just make your game bloated and, you know, have it die, right? Finish the game, then start the next one.
Simple, but yeah, that pretty much says it all.
I must do that.
That's you're the worst. You're always wandering off on new ideas.
I finished quite a few of them though.
Yeah, can you imagine when you haven't finished? I'd just frightening. So I'm going to check this and go, yes, we're out of time. Fantastic. So thanks for all of you for coming. Thanks, guys, for doing the panel. Really, really excited that this went ahead.
Should we do another?
What
do you think?
What do you think?
I
Should
think
we do
have
another?
to leave now, Keith, to be honest.
Well, not right now.
So yeah, hopefully we'll do another one 6 to 8 weeks time. Well, obviously we'll let you all know. It'll be more art oriented. Is that the right word?
Manus? When's the next Galway meeting?
That's a good question.
So last week of March, right?
Last week of March, sort of post-GDC meet-up, really.
So it'll be it's usually a Thursday.
About 2 weeks from
The
now,
last
so.
couple have been Wednesdays, but Thursdays is a much better night.
Thursday's a much better night, mainly because I'm not working till 9 o'clock and can have more than 2 pints before
Yeah.
I get the bus.
So it'll be the last Thursday of this month. We'll say Max Wiggins is almost certainly where it'll be. And yeah, it'll be on anyone. If you're not, anyone who isn't Galway Game, if Facebook, there's a Galway Game Developers group. If you're not part of it, join it. We update when we're meetups.
There's also GalwayGames.com.
And GalwayGames.com, yeah.
That will bring you back to Facebook.
Yeah. So,
but you can see some of the games that has been made here and some of the teams.
So thanks Keith, thanks Sam, thanks Ian, thanks Chris, and thanks all of you for coming.
Thanks.
And hopefully we'll see you again. Oh, no, everyone get out. Anyone wants to go home.